Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us here. We're at the end of September, if you can believe, already the end of September, and this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We are live every Saturday morning, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. This is a show hosted by the man right next to me, Mr. Overson, Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans. Scott Wollmering and myself, Ryan O'Neill, with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Again, hope your weekend is starting off well. A lot of good stuff to talk about. This is an interactive show, so please feel free to interrupt us at any point. Guys, good morning to you. Great to see you both.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're here every Saturday this time for the next hour. Love your comments, love your feedback. You can either do it online on all the social media sites, or you can text us 612-294-6949, or you can call that number and go live on air. Love your questions and comments during the show.
Yeah, and Mike, a lot to talk about mortgage-wise, just with the falling rates. Excited to hear what you've got cooking too.
Yeah, we'll talk about what you hear in the media. What actually happened, where we think things are going. We'll talk about all that stuff live on air.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us anytime during the show. That comes to us, or then also live throughout the week. That also comes right to us as well. But appreciate you joining us here on WCCO. We got a fun show today. A lot to talk about. Again, Scott, Mike, myself, and again, anytime throughout the show, just comment on the stream, and we're happy to chat with you. Here we go, guys. We're going live on air. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show, and thanks for joining us here at the end of September, September 28th, 2024, and this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show, hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans and Scott Wollmering and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team. RE/MAX Advantage Plus. Good morning, CCO listeners. This is a local, and live, and interactive real estate show. We welcome your questions by phone or text at any time, 612-294-6949, 612-294-6949. That comes right to us in studio during the show. And again, Scott Wollmering, Mike Overson, guys, it's always a pleasure. Good to see you both.
Yeah, good morning, Ryan.
Yeah, good to be here. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Like Ryan said, this is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us during the show. And if you've never been to our site, mnrealestateshow.com is how you can find out everything about the team and all of our incredible preferred partners that we have that have been with us for a long time.
Yeah, and Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans. You've been a busy guy. Not only busy with work, you got a busy, growing family.
Yeah.
You're involved in your community. A lot of times, Saturday mornings, you are on dad duty, right?
Yeah, I am. So I coach one of my sons' soccer teams. I coach the other son's football team, and then they're in 3 sports each right now. So they got football, basketball, and soccer going on. So it's busy times for me.
And so what do you prefer, football, basketball, or soccer? I know the answer.
Me?
Yes.
I mean, I prefer football for sure.
Yeah, I did both. I coached football and soccer. I just could never get into soccer.
No?
I mean, soccer wasn't a thing when I was in high school, so I just never played it.
Soccer.
It was painful.
It is very busy. Soccer now, hockey for a lot of the kids too. But again, Mike Overson, wonderful guy, extremely hardworking loan officer in our market. Mike, interest rate wise, first segment here, what are you seeing? What's cooking?
Well, let's talk about what happened a couple weeks ago here. So everyone heard that the Feds, dropped rates by 0.5%, and so
woohoo, let's go buy houses,
right? That's
right.
What everyone thinks. So everyone assumes that, right? That's that rate that they dropped includes mortgage rates. That's not the case. So the Feds only have control of something called the Fed's funds rate, right? So it's basically the rate that banks can borrow from the federal government. So that rate dropped 0.5%. That doesn't necessarily mean that mortgage rates went down 0.5%. What did go down 0.5% are more consumer type of loans, like home equity lines of credit, auto loans, credit card interest rates, things like that went down. Now, as a result of them lowering the Fed funds rate, our mortgage interest rates are actually up 0.25% from when they made that announcement. So everyone's like, how does that even possible? How does that work? What happens is that as these other interest rates, right, the interest rates that the Fed has control of, as those interest rates go down and that trickles through the economic system, then we will see mortgage rates come down with it. But those lower interest rates in those other areas have to take effect, and it needs some time to work in the economic system before we see the benefits on the mortgage side of things. So it's common that when the Feds lower rates, that our interest rates on the mortgage side go up a little bit, but wait for a few weeks here. As that starts trickling through the economic system, rates will float down a little bit more, and we're going to be probably sitting a little bit lower than where we're at today.
Yeah, and along that line, if you've listened to the show over the last month, a few weeks ago we did the perfect storm, talking about a good perfect storm this time. Basically, the same pent up demand that's been there. Now all of a sudden, interest rates are starting to come down. At that point, I think they were at 7.5. We're down now to 6.25-ish. You'll go through those in a second. And what that means for all of you that have listings out there, or all of the sellers listening that have been kind of stale. Maybe you've been listed in the $400,000 to $600,000 range, and nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, these last couple of weeks, man, you got 5 showings in a week, you got 9 showings in a week, you got an offer on your house. That's what happens when rates go from 7.5 to 6.25. All these people enter in. So all of a sudden, action has started on your listings again. That's why.
Yeah, again, interest rate update as well as a real estate update here in the Twin Cities. When we look at some numbers, new listings, so new homes for sale, this is year over year in the Twin Cities, was pretty much flat, pretty much even. There was 1,433 new properties that came on the market. Pending sales or accepted purchase agreements down about 5% year over year. There were 856 pendings. And then the overall inventory still is increasing about 11%. There's 10,000.
Whoa.
10,002.
Oh my God, we've got over 10,000
listings.
10,000 listings. And again, that still is very historically low, really low. And again, the median sales price continues to tick upwards. This is year over year. It went up 2.2% to 388,000. So that limited inventory of homes for sale and still demand out there, guys, has caused that median sales price to increase.
But think about this. I mean, so Ryan's right. So balanced market in the Twin Cities is about 19,000 homes, equal amount of buyers, equal amount of sellers. 10,000 is still a heavy sellers market. But if you go back 18 months, year and a half, we were at 5,000, 5,500, 6,000 homes. Now we're at 10,000. And that is why things have kind of been sitting out there. You have interest rates of 7.5. Oh, I don't like that. No one's writing, so inventory kind of creeps up. Now all of a sudden rates are coming back down, starting to get a little bit more active, and it's a positive thing.
Yeah, again, we're up against the first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. You are always welcome to join us, 612-294-6949. Before the break, we've got a listing to feature. Fong Kao, great agent with the Minnesota Real Estate Team and RE/MAX Advantage Plus. He has one in St. Paul. This is 792 Edmond Avenue. It is a duplex. It's fully remodeled. Fong says for the next buyer, it's $280,000. It's got a new roof in 2021, a new water heater as well in 2021. You could own or occupy one unit, rent out the other. It's got maintenance-free siding, an updated kitchen and bathrooms, and it's close to restaurants, shopping, colleges, major freeways. Check that out, 792 Edmond Avenue in St. Paul for $280,000. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks, folks, for joining us on social media, wherever you're catching us. Good stuff. Mike, so activity volume-wise, are you feeling any different at all? With, I know you just explained that it doesn't affect long-term rates, but what are you feeling?
So we had a rush of business come in. September is our best month, and then of the year so far. And October will beat September.
I wonder why that is.
And here's my theory, right? Perfect storm. Scott's like, I told you. most of the clients that are making moves and buying properties right now are the ones that got pre-approved 60 to 120 days ago, right? They got pre-approved at 7 to 7.5.
Sure.
They see rates down to closer to 6, and they're like,
Here we go.
right, we just saved ourselves a bunch of money. Now's the time to make the move. The people that are getting pre-approved now, right, they're seeing the 6.25, high fives, whatever. Some are making moves. Some aren't because they're hearing, oh, the feds are going to lower rates again in November. Like, should we wait it out? What should we do? There's a little bit of hesitation there. So,
but see, that's that's like, I've got a few buyers right now that I'm trying to tell right now, you're on the cusp
Sure.
Right.
of it's just happening. So you're right on the cusp of being able to still buy at a decent deal because everything's not jumped up because all of a sudden rates are in the 5s.
Yeah.
So if you buy now and you've got a 60-day closing or 45-day out closing, you float that, wait for rates to come down a little bit more maybe, and then you jump on it. But I do believe right now is about a 30 to 60-day window to where you can still get the better rates and not pay the elevated pricing that we know is coming. I mean, in the spring, it's coming.
Mike, do you think with the election in early November, anything like immediately, do you think will happen with that one way or the other, whoever wins?
Well, you have the election happening in what, November?
Early November.
5th, 6th,
yeah.
okay. The next Fed meeting is November 6th and 7th.
Oh, wow.
So you have the election, and then the day after you got Fed meeting, and then the day after that you actually have the announcement from the Fed on what they're going to do. I'm expecting the markets to be doing this.
Mhm.
Like, we're going to see wild swings, right? It's going to be crazy for 3-4 days until things settle in. I think either way, no matter who gets in, I still think we're on a path of rates are still going to be floating down. I think by the time we get to the end of December, I think we're talking about low 5s instead of like high 5s and low 6s.
Hey, guys, question here. Again, text came in 612-294-6949. Biggest tips, curb appeal, looking at selling our house. What do you think, guys? Curb appeal for the house, driving up.
Well, I mean, obviously the basic things, you want to have your driveway sealed if it's all cracked up. You want to make sure that same with your sidewalks. You want to make sure your landscaping's tight. If your house is an ugly color, you might want to look at getting it to be a little better color, different color. I mean, those are the cheapest.
Ugly color? What's that about?
Well, I mean, I shouldn't even say ugly. If you have a color choice that might not be preferable to all, so maybe your home is purple and you love purple, that's great. But probably not the color that's going to be appealing to the masses.
Yeah, you think about it. Again, kind of basic stuff. Like Scott said, lawn. The lawn is one thing, too, that can be a deal killer for people immediately. And just the maintenance of the exterior. You know, if it is a painted home, you know, touching that up, those types of things. Buyers notice that.
Too much landscaping.
Yeah.
So let's say you are a gardener extraordinaire and you love your flowers and it's beautiful when you take care of it. Other people are going to walk up and go, oh my gosh, this is just a ton of work.
Maintenance.
This is a ton of work. That's not my thing. So maybe you thin that out, which is very hard for someone that loves their flowers.
Yeah. Too much. Too much landscaping.
Too many garden gnomes in the front yard.
All right. Hey, we're getting ready to go back live on air. The Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks, everybody. Welcome back to the second segment here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show on CCO. Hope your weekend's going well, everybody. You're able to get outside, enjoy some of this seasonably warm weather that we have. You've got to get out as well. Wanted to give a little shout out. We've got the Parade of Homes Remodelers Showcase going on this home. The Parade of Homes Remodelers Showcase. It started yesterday and it goes through tomorrow, Sunday. It's noon to 6 each day. And I wanted to give a little shout out to booth number R32, which is White Birch Design. Steve McDonald, outstanding agent on the Minnesota real estate team. He and his partner, Angela, own this great company called White Birch Design. And just a little description of this property. It's 1404 Deerwood Court in Eagan. It is a main floor remodel. So Steve said they transformed the tired honey oak on the main floor. And he said he started with removing the dining room wall to create an open space, maple cabinets, a 10-foot island in a dark blue color. And then they added double ovens, a beverage station, large pantry. And he said they continued with the remodeling by raising the sunken family floor room. We have one of those. And added a new built-ins along with a fireplace. Created a small bump out in the garage to create a mud room that's now functional when you enter the home, adding lockers and wainscoting for all those kids coming in and out, Mike. And on the rest of the main floor, they've got LVP flooring throughout, updated powder room, updated hand railings. And Steve says there's a total of 43 homes on the tour throughout the Twin Cities, and they are R32 white birch design. Steve says, they love to say, love where you live. Again, that's 1404 Deerwood Court in Egan, Scott.
Very, very nice. I've got a listing. Actually, Rick Bjorklund with Remax Advantage Plus, great agent. This is actually for those of you that have played the Legends Golf Course in Prior Lake. This is my favorite home on the course, and I belong there since 2005. It's listed at $2,685. It is $2 million. I'm sorry. Yeah, $2,685,000. The address is 18901 Brookwood Road in Credit River on the Legends Golf Course. It's a 6-bedroom, 7-bath, 8,500 square feet. It is right on the 6th hole and the 16th. So anyone that's played there and you've looked at this incredible stone house, this is the house. Too much to go into detailed descriptions. Obviously, the Legends was National Golf Course of the Year. It's a Tuscan style, over 8,000 square feet. All the amenities that would go along with that. Believe me, this is one you want to take a peek at it.
Yeah.
It is 18901 Brookwood Road and available right now.
Yeah, what's the price again?
$2,685,000.
Yeah, looking at those photos, Mike, I was looking at it a little bit before the show. My gosh, absolutely beautiful. I'm not a golfer myself, but I can imagine from looking towards the back of the home, they have one photo that's just like the back with the lawn. And it's just, wow. Yeah, I mean, it is super, just a beauty. You got to look at the photos.
Yeah. Besides just being a cool house, it's also one of the best situated lots on the course. And yeah, definitely worth a look.
Legends has been known though. It's got really, people like it. Why do people like the Legends?
Well, there's only, I think there's only 42 home sites on the Legends, and a lot of them are acre to 2-acre lots. And they're just obviously incredibly nice homes, but it's not an overpacked, it's not an overpacked golf course. So it's just, it's a pretty course. And I played it for a zillion times and I still love it.
Yeah. Again, before the break, we had received a text message question, Mike, about looking to sell and just some curb appeal things that you can do. Scott talked about landscaping. Landscaping is hard, especially if you have too much. I have a friend who I remember when they were selling their house, they have so much landscaping. And for the next buyer, and it was beautiful. I mean, every time you would go to the home, I mean, it looked just wonderful. That's a hard one. That's hard to pare that down because most people aren't wired that way to spend that much time on their landscaping.
Well, and it's interesting. I'm sure agents that will follow this line of thinking. So my in-laws, for example, they have incredible homes. They built many of them, but my ex-father-in-law was a yard guy. So I mean, lots of planting, tons of stuff. And when you go over there all the time, we just loved it. It was beautiful and so on. Well, I listed their house and went up the first time with a client and then looked at it from a realtor. And I was like, oh my gosh, pulled the house, had him thin stuff out. Cause then I was looking at it with a different eye than I was just being over there for Christmas, and it is, that's as beautiful as it is. Remember, you might love that stuff, but other people look at it as work.
Yeah. Mike, thoughts on that landscaping?
I agree with you, right? It's that can be a lot of work, and I know some of the stuff that my wife has done, and just like, that's way too much time there. One thing that catches my eye as far as the front elevation goes, garage doors.
Oh yeah.
Like garage doors.
You want to have them.
First of all. But if you have like new garage doors or different, ones that are kind of designed with the different types of windows or whatever, and they're like, that always seems to catch my eye. And I always like draw to like, oh, like those garage doors, this thing looks sweet,
Yeah, really good point. Some things, definite things you can do without breaking the bank. We talked about obviously lawn care, weeding, with the driveway, repairing cracks, that type of thing. But good question. Again, you're welcome to interrupt us at any point.
Oh, I got a question before you get into that.
Yeah,
one, I
sure.
got a question. Actually, Movado sent out, which is a lead source that Ryan provides to the agents on his team, and they put out the question: what is the most misunderstood thing about doing a remodel or updating of your home? What is the most misunderstood things that people think? So I'm going to want to sell my house and I'm going to remodel my kitchen. I'm going to sell my house. I want to finish my basement so it'll show better. What do you think the most misunderstood things are?
Mike, I have a thought. I think a lot of times it's hard to understand the money invested and the return on the different parts of things. Maybe is it above ground square feet, which appraisers value higher than below ground square feet? Is it, again, if you're spending a lot of money into amenities, kitchens, all these things, not getting the return you want, I would think that's probably near the top.
Yeah, that was my answer. That misunderstood of what kind of a value you get out of what you put in. So we've talked about on the show forever, but if you do a perfect kitchen remodel, perfect, you hit everything that the masses want. None of this, well, we don't need this because that doesn't fit our family thing, which is what people do. So you do everything perfectly. You get about 68% of what you put in. So if you spend $100,000 on it, you get out $68,000. And that is if you do it perfectly. So again, we always just say paint, carpet, landscaping, things like that make your home look that you're not breaking the bank on are your best bang for your buck, but stay away from major remodels.
Mike, any other thoughts on that?
I mean, that's what I was gonna say too. I'm guessing people are gonna be like, if I stick $1 into this thing, I'm gonna get $1.25 or $1.50 back.
Yeah, because
right?
I'm so smart. Also, we had 4 bedrooms up, but what we did is we put 2 big bedrooms upstairs. Now they're, and of course nobody wants that.
Yeah. It's hard. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us at any point. Question said, guys, what are you seeing with the changes with this whole commission thing? Anything you're feeling at all one way or the other with that, Mike, from a lending standpoint?
No, I really haven't seen any changes or anything like that. Nothing that's caused an issue, nothing that's really raised a flag. It's kind of been business as normal.
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you this, that because I'm a creature of numbers, I've tracked homes that are, so for example, there was a home, and it's still on the market, so I won't dog the guy too bad. It is in the Richfield area.
You be nice.
In the Richfield area. And I showed 20 homes to my client. This one stuck out. I mean, it was the best home on the market by far.
Okay.
No offers, been on the market for 77 days.
So no offers.
Yep.
It's been on the market.
So I called him up and I said, we're going to write an offer. Yada, yada. And then, today's age, you have to ask what the payout is. And he said, we're paying out 1%. And I just cracked up. Well, that's why no one is buying that house. No agents are. I said, how many showings have you had? We've had 3. They've had 3 showings on this house in 44 days. And they're paying out at 1%. And now don't misunderstand me. It didn't affect me. I'm going to write it. We're going to write it and go move forward. But what it did is it hurt that seller. I don't even know the number that it hurt the seller. I mean, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever it happens to be, because there are certain agents, if they have a buyer under a 3% buyer rep contract, the buyer is not going to write that check. And they're not comfortable just writing in, because that's what everybody will say. Well, just write in the 2.7. Well, some agents that doesn't feel right to them. So they move on to a different property. They shouldn't, but they do.
Yeah, it is hard. It's a hard thing sometimes, human nature, to understand that. And again, sellers have choices. My quick answer before I know we're up against the break is I really have not seen any changes at all. There's a few more conversations people have. There's a couple new forms, but real estate, the real estate business has continued very much in the same way for buyers or sellers. There's commissions being paid out. There's some people that are discounters. It's the same. It's really the same thing that we've experienced with this market, Mike.
I was just gonna say the lending world went through this back in TRID, in 09, 2010, 2011 when TRID came through, and everyone was the same way. It's like, oh, all these rule changes and all this stuff. Like, how are we going to move forward and how is business going to be done and all that stuff? It was done the same way, right? The ones that can figure it out and just adapt their business, they got more business out of it. And it's the same thing with the real estate here. Business as usual. Those that just adapt to the new rules, they're going to thrive in this.
Yeah. Again, thanks for joining us, everybody, here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate it. This is a live and local show. If you are a buyer, a seller, or you're looking to invest in real estate, we are a local team that really works all over Minnesota and Western Wisconsin. We've
And
got
Florida.
and Florida
And
too.
Florida.
Yeah, speaking of that, we'll have to talk about the hurricanes, but we have a top agent on the Minnesota real estate team that would love to help you and your family. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out, 612-294-6949. We'll be back after the break. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on social media. I hope your weekend's going well.
I'm just going to piggyback on the commission thing. One thing that I've noticed, and this is kind of, I know I feel a little sappy, but I tend to think that pretty much everybody is pretty decent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a small percentage of the population that's not, but for the most part, everybody else is decent. And I have seen more buyers working with their agents concerned to make sure that their buyer's agent's getting paid what they should be getting paid. Now that there's a change, and that's never been there because it was just automatic. It was paid what it was paid, and that's what you got paid.
Right.
But now, because it's out there and people understand it, I've heard more from agents on my team where the people are like, we want to make sure that you're getting paid. And it's so I think that most people think that you should get paid for the work that you do.
Yeah.
It's like if you go to a dentist or you go to an attorney or you go to a realtor. So no one wants you working for free.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's been interesting. But there's always change. So just like you said, Mike, just being able to roll with that a little bit is also difficult. Had a question also about property taxes on a new construction home. Mike, you want to maybe talk through that, how that works? They're buying the new construction home. Taxes are way low.
Yeah. So you only pay taxes on the value of the lot until the county goes out there and sees the completed house on the lot and says, oh, we got this nice new house on this lot. Now that lot is worth X with this house on it. Now we get to tax you with this value. So you usually get 1 to 2 years where you're paying just the lot tax. And then those fully assessed taxes will kick in. And then that's where, if you have your taxes escrowed in the payment, your payment will go up to pay for the additional taxes.
Scott, have you seen with buyers where they specifically are wanting to avoid a city or something because of taxes? They say, look, we've got to do this. And I mean, just curious, like what cities are those? What have you heard? Is there any times you've heard that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, there's when we were doing all those teardowns in Minneapolis. So you would think taxes in Minneapolis are taxes in Minneapolis. They're not. The closer you get to the lakes, so like Linden Hills, when you get closer to when you're getting closer to Harriet, those taxes are crazy. So you have $1 million house in one area of Minneapolis, and maybe you're paying $11,000 in taxes, and then all of a sudden the same house over in Linden Hills you're paying $18,000 in taxes. And so it's not just a little difference, it's a big difference. So yeah, it is it's there a little bit, but like my dad always said, if you're buying a Cadillac and you're worried about putting the gas in the car, you probably shouldn't be buying a Cadillac. It's kind of the same thing. If you're worried about the additional $7,000 but you want to live in Linden Hills, probably shouldn't be living in Linden Hills.
Favorite, this is an interesting one. Favorite neighborhood in the Twin Cities? Do you guys have a favorite neighborhood? I suppose it could include the city too. You got a thought there, Scott?
Well, my favorite neighborhood, because it's my neck of the woods, is the Legends. I love that. Love
Okay.
that neighborhood.
Huh. Mike, you got a favorite?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, I love where I live.
Yeah.
I mean, just being on the lake there in Burnsville, it's like I wouldn't trade that for anything.
I mean, there's tons of. I mean, you can go through Edina. There's super cool neighborhoods. You can go out into YZ.
Yeah.
There's awesome neighborhoods, right around the lake. I mean, there's a ton.
St. Paul, you think about kind of Summit,
yeah, Grand
Ave. I mean,
Avenue.
there is, I don't know. Yeah, some of those areas. That's an interesting question. Favorite. Yeah, I think it also depends what you want.
Do you know what?
Many ways.
You know what the favorite town, not city, but the favorite town to live in America is?
Nevada.
Well, I should say 2 years ago it was, so it might be different now, but nonetheless.
Favorite town.
Favorite town.
It's got to be Laverne.
It is Duluth.
Duluth,
Minnesota is the favorite or the best town. And I forgot who did it, but it was the best town to live in. Duluth.
Scott compilated it.
Scott did.
They don't
It's
consider
compilated to
Duluth
work.
a city?
No, well, not,
Here we go,
not
guys.
in this. I think it was a certain amount under.
Oh, okay.
Welcome back to the second act of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Hope your weekend's going well, everybody. We appreciate you joining us. Ryan O'Neill, Scott Wolmering, my friend Scott, my friend Mr. Mike here did want to touch on one other dream home in the Parade of Homes Remodeler Showcase this weekend. Again, it's from 12 to 6. Our friend, a longtime listener of the Minnesota Real Estate Show, Brian Wolf. Brian has a great building company called Fieldstone Family Homes. And the address of this property is 24335 Dodd Boulevard, 24335 Dodd Boulevard in Lakeville. And Brian said he plans to be there all 3 days, stop on out to say hello. And he said if anyone's around in the Lakeville area, even showing buyers, come check it out. He said the owners agreed to share their brand new staycation retreat. In addition to, they completed a few weeks ago with the public, realtors, prospects. They're clearing out for the weekend, he said, to support our business, along with the Housing First Foundation, the Builders Association charitable arm. This is a stunner, the biggest, quote, house we've ever built without any bedrooms. Check that out, 24335 Dodd Boulevard. We got a little shout out. Thanks for listening to our show for 20 years, Brian. You've been a great supporter of us. Thank you.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Scott, we got no mic there, buddy. There we go.
There we go. I've got one more Parade of Homes. This is actually, if you listened a few weeks ago, my favorite Parade of Homes was a 2-story with Country Joe. And today they are actually throwing a party at 9943 189th Street in Lakeville. You can also look them up by Country Joe. From 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock, they're going to have crafts, pumpkins carving for the kids. They're going to have a barbecue, a Roland Nolan barbecue food truck. So today from 1 to 3, Jen Thompson is the agent there. Incredible builder, Country Joe, and it looks like a fun day. So 1 to 3 o'clock in Lakeville, 9943 189th Street. Go out and see it.
Yeah, again, good question here. Text came in 612-294-6949. This is from the 320 area code. We love our friends in the 320. By the way, just a quick side note, agent on the team, Paul Dokauer, lives in Duluth. Scott was talking about America's favorite city. And it's funny, town. They say, I was thinking the 320, they call it the 218, the 218ers. So Paul is now, he grew up there. But anyway, random note. But the question is, when buying a house, what years of when the house was built are the best to try to stay away from, as perhaps having more issues? What years are bad?
Good question. I would say anything from 1990. I can't remember exactly when. I'll say 1990 to about 1997. Stucco houses, and I might have my years off, but in that range. That's when Category 5 came out. They made the homes a lot tighter. People did not know what they were dealing with stucco. And so you basically had window problems, which stucco got the bad name for it, that sucked water behind the stucco. So if you ever are looking at a house like that and it is stucco, please have a stucco test when you do your inspection.
Yeah, Mike, any specific years you thinking about?
Well, I was just going to say stucco in the 90s was, I mean, there was, countless amounts of issues going
and you're
on
talking
with
about
those.
$200,000 fixes, $300,000 fixes, big time stuff.
I mean, if there was going to be an issue that came up when you're buying a stucco house in the 90s, it was going to be the water, the moisture issue that, that it got tucked behind there because they wrapped them so tight the house couldn't breathe. And then that water couldn't evaporate and caused issues.
One thing I would share, again, if you are maybe a first-time home buyer or you're hearing this discussion, I think a lot of it for year built, again, it doesn't matter what updates have been done to the home. The first home I bought as a first-time home buyer is a duplex in Bloomington, and it was built in the late 1800s. And so you'd think, oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's ridiculous. But the very kind couple I bought it from did a lot of really nice improvements to it. New windows, new HVAC, all these new roof, expensive things that they did. And so I think a lot of it depends upon the area. We were just talking about what the question we had, what's your favorite neighborhood in the Twin Cities? It's like if you're going to Grand Avenue, you're going to have a certain year built a home. So I wouldn't be as scared about that. I think to the guys said, doing, if it's stucco inspections, having a good home inspection done, just to look at what's been done. How's the condition of the home, guys?
Yeah, and and for example, my favorite as far as like a house being built solid is anything in the 1950s. I mean, they built a solid tank of a house back then. I mean, where what was that? How many years later?
75.
And they're still standing proud and solid, and no water in the basements. And that was a pride of ownership time frame, the 1950s to early 1960s.
The greatest generation.
Greatest generation, and they built really solid homes.
Yeah, it is. It's a super good question. Again, 612-294-6949 is how you can interrupt us here at any point. As Scott mentioned earlier, we talked a little bit about this perfect storm, about the market. Mike, interesting. You were saying your best month as a loan officer is September. Is that historically the case?
No.
So what's going on? I mean, what's up with that?
These last 2 years have been weird. Usually it's May and then November and then June. Like those are the busiest months that we have for closings. If you go back the 20 years I've been doing this, those are typically the top 3. If we look at the last 2 years, last year it was August. August was my best month. If you look at this year, September is the best so far, and October is actually probably going to beat it here. So it's just weird, right? It's a sign of the times. Like interest rates, obviously, on our end of the thing, are on our end of the industry. When they're low, we get a lot of deals, and when they're high, we don't get a lot of deals. And as we see rates come down, that's why we're getting more here, and it just happens to be during September and October.
Well, yeah, and the value. There's a combination of that. One is exactly that, rates have come down. You also have sellers that have now been through all summer. They've done price reductions, which we hadn't seen for 5 years. Now we're seeing them all the time. So now all of a sudden they're creeping into end of August, and their house isn't sold yet. And then you've got the people that are like, oh my gosh, good, rates are coming down. People that are willing to deal on their house because they've been sitting for 4 months and they want to have it gone before winter. So it is a very good time to buy right now.
Yeah, again, 612-294-6949, Mike.
So going with that, do you guys know the average date of our first snowfall here in Minnesota?
I would say the average date of our first average date is November 30th.
Ryan?
I'll say November 2nd.
It's November 4th.
Whoa!
Right?
Holy cow.
So we're 35 days away from maybe our first snowfall where we actually get snow that sticks on the ground, right? As an average. So it's kind of go time for a lot of people now because it's coming up.
Yeah, again, appreciate you joining us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We're up against our final break. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're here. If you're interested in a value on your property, a market analysis, go to mnrealestateshow.com. We're happy to do that. We've got a top agent. Literally, wherever you're picking up CCO, we've got someone on the Minnesota Real Estate team that would love to help you and your family. Hope your weekend's going well, everybody. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for joining us, Brian. Appreciate your kind comment. Bill, Mom, good morning. Love you.
Hi, Mom.
Good morning. Your mother's watching too, isn't she?
She's. I don't know. I haven't looked, but she's always watching.
Mom's watching. Appreciate it. But Brian, thank you. Thanks for being such a great supporter over the years with Fieldstone. That remodeler, I like that remodeler showcase. That's a cool thing. We'll have to check that out, Mike.
Well, what makes it cool, I think, is especially if you're in the suburbs, for the most part, whether it's a $400,000 house, $1.5 million house, or a $2 million house, they're all kind of the same. I mean, they're bigger.
Yeah.
They're obviously a few more bells and whistles, but for the most part, kind of the similar floor plans and whatever. The remodelers showcase, what I love about it is you get to see such unique, unusual things, additions that you would not normally see. Sounds like
with Steve?
Steve was doing a one level remodel on the back or something. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool stuff indeed. Mike, again, when you think about neighborhoods, in your home, so when you purchased your home, was it just a lot? Did you buy the lot first?
Yeah.
2 lots.
Okay.
3 lots.
3 lots.
Wow. Now, for people buying, maybe help them understand that. Maybe they're thinking of I don't know, maybe a cabin up north sometime, or they see a lot, do you have to buy that with cash? Do they come in, or how do you buy the lot like that?
Two ways you can buy the lot. So you can just do a lot loan, right? So hey, we're going to put X amount down, and you get a loan to buy the lot. Now you have financing to secure the lot. Or if you're going to be building on it, and your closing date can be moved out far enough to where you can get your building plans done and get approvals through the local authority to make sure you can build that house on that lot, stuff like that. Well, now you can buy that lot with a construction loan. So the construction loan will give you the money to buy the lot and build the house you want to build on it all in one loan. So that's another way you can go, to get financing to take the lot down.
Yeah, again, another thought about which is better right now, renting or buying. Rent or buy, guys. What do you think?
I was just asked that yesterday. Here, I mean, it's always better to buy, but here's the problem: is it's like if you came to me and said, "Oh my gosh, I've got the best deal, Scott. It's this house on Minnetonka. It's worth $20 million. I'm going to sell it to you for 10." I still have to be able to do the 10, which I can't. So it could be the best deal in the world.
Sure.
So of course that's better to buy that because of the value. But I have to be able to do it. And that's, I think, where people are at right now. It makes no sense to spend $2,000 a month on rent. But if you have to spend $3,500 a month on a house payment and you can't do it, guess what? That's your option. So of course it's better to buy.
Yeah.
And we're getting back to where now it's getting tighter again. 6%, 6.25%. We drop into the 5s. People will be there, but that's what it is.
It is amazing when you look at the Twin Cities and how expensive rent is. Just talking to a friend last night, $2,500 for a little townhome that they're renting. I don't know. It just seems you think about that. That's $30,000 a year in rent. And again, I think your point's a great one though, Scott, with interest rates higher. And
you
plus,
got to be able to make the payment.
Well, plus not only make the payment, but have the down payment as well. I mean, a first-time buyer, you could do FHA, our veterans, 0, but you got to have the money then for a down payment as well, Mike.
Yep. Yeah, it's all it comes, it's all a factor, and there's different hurdles for different people. Some have the money, but they don't have the monthly coming in to make the payment. Some have the monthly coming in. It's like, yeah, we can make the payment. The down payment's our hurdle.
Well, what I'm hoping happens with this time, and I do think I'm going to go on record saying I do think this is going to happen. I think that we are not going to have the same increase in home values that we did in 2022 when things dropped into the 3s.
Here we go.
Okay.
Welcome back to our final segment here of the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and hope your weekend is going well. We love being here on CCO, and we always enjoy being with you all. Thanks for listening. We do appreciate that. Last listing, Justin Voss has one in Edina, 5343 Interlaken Boulevard for $759,900. It is a 5-bed, 4-bath single-family home. It's located in an oversized landscape lot. It's the Edina School District, and it's an open house. Again, for that 5343 Interlaken Boulevard. A lot of nice updates, a paver patio with pergola sitting area, massive iron cedar fenced landscape yard, heated 3-stall garage, guest parking. Updates continue with Scott with new windows in 2018, water softener, newly installed tankless water heater, and open houses today. So Saturday, 1 to 3, Justin Voss, a great agent on the Minnesota real estate team. He will be out there today from 1 to 3. Again, 5343 Interlaken Boulevard in Edina, Scott.
Yeah, very, very good. We were talking off air a little bit about interest rates coming down and the market heating up. And what I think is going to happen, and I might be wrong in this, but I believe because we've had kind of a pushback on value and payment when rates were at 7, everything's been relatively flat. We're moving a little bit ahead. That when rates drop into the 5s again, I don't believe we're going to see housing pricing going as nuts as it did back in 2022. So hopefully the decrease in interest rates and a moderate increase in pricing will make it an affordable market to get people back involved. Because if it escalates like it did last time, if you're buying a house right now for $450 and rates drop into the 5s and you're buying the same house for $5.25, that doesn't fix anything. We're going to be in the same boat, and I don't think that's going to happen.
One thing I wanted to share again about Mike Oberson, Luminate Homes. Again, they are a local bank, Luminate Bank. You guys, I think, are paying out, what is it now, like 4.5% or 4.6% on your savings account?
I think we're still at 5 APY.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a great local bank, high savings account, you guys. But the other thing I just wanted to briefly mention, I work a lot with our team as kind of the broker, and when there's problems, my phone rings. And recently, we have a file where there's another lender involved, kind of an out-of-state lender, and it's supposed to close next week, and it's not closing. It's blowing up. The financing is not showing up. And so it is important, again, who you choose from a lending perspective. Luminate is local. Mike is local. Their team is reputable. They close on time. And most importantly, they're honest. If you can't get it done, you kind of the old adage, you rip the Band-Aid off right away. We want to know that right away as agents, sellers, buyers. We don't want to know that 2 days before closing on a weekend. That's going to ruin everybody's weekend. Mike, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's in this particular case, I got involved with this case here, and it's definitely it's out of the box for sure. We have a solution for it, which is nice. So I think we can come in here and kind of save the deal and people to the closing table. But it's the experience of the loan officer, just the knowledge, the creativity of looking outside of the box to see if we can get it to fit one way or another somewhere else. I mean, that's just a skill set that just not everyone has.
No. Well, I mean, it comes with time and learning, and then it comes with doing volume of deals. I mean, the more real estate transactions you do, in my case, over 25 years, it's not that you haven't run into everything, but you pretty much run into most everything. I mean, there are still things that shock you, but for the most part, you've kind of come across it.
Yeah. Again, Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, Luminate Bank. Can't encourage you enough to reach out to them. I did want to mention, guys, as well, Steve Groen with Standard Water. We actually have had water in our basement. We had Standard Water come out, and was just super impressed with Steve and his team. They really did a nice job to figure out the issue, figure out what exactly was going on. They communicated well. They're professional. It was a reasonable cost. It didn't, wasn't an arm and a leg to do this. And I can see why Steve and his team have been successful, because you think about Minnesota, water in the basement, just a really good team. I encourage you to check out Standard Water, again, mnrealestateshow.com. All of our partners there that have been part of the Minnesota Real Estate Show for 20 years, just good people, good service, guys.
Yeah, they are. And Steve, if you know Steve personally, he is wired tight, and that's how his companies run as well. Very, very wired tight. And it was embarrassing for Ryan because the water actually came from Minnie's little pool in the basement. So, he's like, oh, Ryan, that's where it came from.
Minnie Mouse,
the little dog.
Minnie Mouse. Mike, last thoughts for us here.
If I look at, loans that I've locked this week, VA at 5.25, conventional at 5.875, conventional at 5.99, another conventional at 6.125. Rates, if you look over the 30-year fixed rate, 30-year fixed average over the last 40 years is 8.25. We're at 6. If you're in the VA range, something like that, you might be in the low 5s, like I said. So rates are still good. And I still think they're going to kind of just slowly trickle down as we go through the year here. So I would say take advantage of it.
What about ARM products? Are they still tight?
ARMs are still priced higher than 30-year fixed.
Golly, it just bugs me. I mean, that's what saved us back in the day. Interest rates went, 1999 rate and a quarter, but your ARMs were, 5.5 or 6. There was a gap that made sense. Now it just doesn't make sense to even get them in there.
Yeah, we still got an inverted yield curve with the inflation and stuff like that going on. So ARMs are still higher. It's going to be a little while before that flips back to like quote unquote norm.
Scott, nice job, young man.
Yes, you too. And again, just pay attention, folks. Pay attention in the next 3 months. If you are a buyer with nothing to sell, pull the plug, pull the trigger. This is the time to buy.
Yeah, great job. Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans. Great job, friend.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I encourage you to check out, again, Luminate Bank, local, very good folks. Mike and his team, Eric Lovins, Taryn Reuter, they run a great ship there. Just very good people, good folks. Want to thank Ryan as well for coming in to produce the show. He does a great job. We're excited to have him on board. Everybody, enjoy the weekend. Again, 612-294-6949. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care. Hey, thanks for so many folks joining us on social media. Fun show. Good job, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Where are you off to, Scott?
I've got a listing appointment in Apple Valley on Lac Lavon.
Ooh, very nice.
Lake Lac Lavon.
And then where you heading to, Mike?
It's homecoming week, so last night we hit the homecoming game at Lakeville North, and then this afternoon we got the pictures. I go up to the band shell on Lake Harriet, and so we got the pictures and all that stuff. So we got three sets of parents coming over at like 2:00, and then we're gonna go up and do the whole picture.
I remember,
thing,
I remember those days.
Real quick, guys, wanted to give a shout out to Mark DePonte. Mark, thanks for joining us. Great fellow agent, broker. He's got a team at Keller Williams. Just a wonderful guy. We met for coffee this week. Just super impressive guy. So thanks, Mark. We'd love to have you on the show sometime too. But just appreciate all of you for joining us, whether you listen for a minute or the whole hour. We're going to be back next weekend in October, if you can believe.